So I've got two Pflueger reels here. I got your Pflueger Patriarch, which is basically a piece of jewelry you can fish with. And I've got your Pflueger President, which is just a pretty good all-around reel. You buy this reel and it'd do anything you need it to. But the main difference that you're going to notice between these reels is the price. The Pflueger Patriarch is going to run around $200, whereas the President's going to be about $60. Now, I know there's plenty of people out here who would be willing to pay 4 times as much just because it looks pretty. But I've had both of these reels for right around maybe just over a year right now, and I've caught lots of fish on them. And there's a much bigger difference between these reels than the way they look, and I'm going to get into that. So these are both 3500 size freshwater reels. They're 5.2 to 1 gear ratios. They're right around 15 pounds of drag, and they both are 10 ball bearing systems. Although the Patriarch does use the fancier XCR bearings, and that's about where the similarities end on these reels. So while the President's a great all-around fishing reel that's going to be able to do whatever you need it to, and the Patriarch is going to be a specialized finesse reel that's designed to be as light and smooth as possible. And that's where a lot of the cost of this reel comes from, is the design and the materials that they're using to do that. I mean, you can see they have the magnesium rotor and body, and they have a really shallow aluminum spool that's skeletonized so much that you can see straight through it and up into the reel. And they've got a titanium main shaft and machined aluminum gears just to save a little bit of weight and make it a lot smoother. They've also got this really neat carbon fiber handle and just some carbon fiber around some other places of the reel. Now, all of this does make a pretty big difference when you're actually cranking this reel. You have a lot less unsprung weight that you're feeling when you're cranking this reel. Now with the President, you've got your graphite body and rotor, and you still have an aluminum spool, although it's not nearly as cut out as the one on the Patriarch is. This one doesn't have nearly the materials or the design that the Patriarch does, as it's got mainly aluminum parts on it instead of carbon, and it has cast gears as opposed to the machined ones. So while this reel still is very smooth, it's not nearly as light or as well balanced as the Patriarch is. Now, some other things about this reel is that it has an anti-reverse switch, which basically just lets the reel spin free. And I'm not quite sure what the use for that is, because the Patriarch does not have one of those, and I definitely prefer it without it, because that stops me from accidentally hitting it and dumping fishing line all over my reel, which I have done multiple times with this, where you lose the fishing line off the reel and it'll get underneath of the spool, and you'll need to pull the spool out to get all the fishing line untangled, which isn't the biggest deal, but it is very annoying when it happens while you're trying to fish. One of the other things about the President is the drag system on this reel. This is a felt system, so you do need to oil it every once in a while just to make sure it stays smooth. And even then, it's not going to be as smooth or as nice as a carbon system, which the patriarch has. And that's actually one of my favorite parts of the patriarch, is going to be the drag system. So the patriarch has one of the smoothest drags I've ever used on a fishing reel. And not only that, but it has a very even range for the adjustment too. You don't have it binding up all the way at the end when you're in the tightest settings. It's a very even adjustment all the way through the range. Whereas with the President, that last half turn is where a lot of your drag is. And it has a tendency to bind up when you're really hard on the drag on that reel. Now, I was talking about how this reel has felt washers, which realistically isn't that big of a deal, considering you can buy carbon washers off most websites now and just swap them out. It's pretty easy to pull the drag stack out of these reels. So that's not the biggest deal, although even with an upgrade in carbon washers, you're still not going to be on the same quality as you will be with the patriarch, especially when you have the adjustability of this reel. Now, it's such a big price difference. You think that these reels might have a pretty significant difference in quality between them, but both of these reels are well over a year old, and I've fished both of these reels pretty heavily, and neither one of them has ever given me any issues at all. Like, I've definitely put this patriarch to work on some shad when I was fishing the Rappahannock River, and that's a very rocky area, and I mean, you can see, there's some marks on the finish from banging it against some rocks, and it's definitely sees some sand too, and while it may look pretty delicate with how open it is, it's actually sealed up pretty well in there. And even with dropping it in sand and all that kind of stuff, it's never even suggested that it was having issues. It's always been smooth, and the drag's always been great, no matter how dirty it's been. And that's something that's really nice about this reel, is you can take it out and you don't have to be super careful with it. And even with the President, I've taken this reel out and beaten on it too. This reel is not in perfect condition either, but it's, again, never even suggested that it was having an issue. And my buddy actually caught his PB largemouth on this reel, which was probably a 4 or 5 pound largemouth bass. And he caught it on a pretty big hook set, and it definitely gave him a little bit of a fight on this reel. So, and I know some people get worried about the graphite frames not being as strong as aluminum, but they definitely are strong enough to do whatever they need to do. This reel has never had an issue getting a fish in. So, definitely both of these reels, very good reels. Now, are these reels nice enough to demand their price tags. Well, I'm going to admit to something. I did buy both of these reels, but I did not spend MSRP on either one of them. I picked up this Patriarch for around $140, and I picked up this President for around $20. Now, do I think that the Patriarch is worth $200? Well, if you do want a specialized finesse spinning reel for freshwater, you don't really have a whole lot of options out there right now. And this is definitely a really nice reel for that exact thing. So I think if it's exactly what you're looking for, you can definitely justify it. But if you're just looking for a nice spinning reel, I don't know if I would spend $200 on this one. But with the President, on the other hand, I mean, at $60, you can't really go wrong with a reel that's going to hold up this well. And again, for 10 or so bucks, you get some carbon washers to throw in it, and you can make that drag a lot better. So, I mean, that's basically my experience with these two reels. So I wanted to bring out the Mocker House for a little bit of a channel update. So, it's been a while since a video got posted on that channel, and that was for a few reasons, between just having a hard time making the content and having some personal projects that we were working on. I just got my Class A CDL, and I think Justin's working on his right now, so I don't know how much I'll be around once I start working, but I know in the near future I'm definitely going to be putting out some more fishing videos, and hopefully we can get some shooting videos put together, although with the recent lack of shooting ranges and ammunition, it's been pretty hard to get guns out to shoot. So yeah, if you like the video, let us know, and if you have any suggestions for videos, or if you have anything you want to see, definitely leave a comment about it. It's always nice to get some new ideas from some other people. So thanks for watching, guys.